Hi, my name is Jordan Stanford, and I am a student at North Carolina State University. This is a presentation on the relationship between music therapy and autism following a study conducted by Garrett Seger, Elephant, Maesler, and Gold. What is music therapy? Music therapy is a therapeutic approach in which music is used to address physical, emotional, cognitive, and social needs of individuals. Music therapy includes things such as improvisation, singing songs, vocalization, and even listening to music both live and pre-recorded. Stern and Trevarthen, two infancy researchers, conducted research on infants that resulted in the connection of music to speech. They found that infants are born ready to engage with the communicative musicality of conversation. Words are just sounds. If you think about it, words only have meanings because we give them meaning. When an infant is first born, they don't understand the words a parent is saying, but rather listen to the sounds that a voice is making. Stern and Trevarthen said that maternal speech is rhythmic and melodic, showing the relationship between music and speech. They claim that the tone of one's voice relates to pitch, timbre, and tonal movement, while the speed of one's voice relates to tempo, rhythm, and timing. This makes music an effective medium for those unable to communicate verbally. People are born able to communicate musically, so those unable to communicate verbally later in life can do so through music. To give you some quick definitions, I'm going to define autism spectrum disorder and what the actual study is. Autism spectrum disorder, as defined by the International Classification of Diseases and Related Health Problems, is a complex neurodevelopmental disorder that is defined and diagnosed behaviorally and usually manifests in early childhood, persisting throughout life. The paper itself discusses a triad of impairment. This triad of impairment is the three areas that are most commonly affected in individuals with autism. These areas include social interaction, language and communication, and behavior and imagination. The study itself took 10 pre-conducted studies and compared them to one another. They found these studies by finding many music therapy and autism-related studies, narrowing them down by removing possible biased studies, and finding similar studies with the same age group and method. The chosen studies researched children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder between the ages of 2 and 9 years old. Each study compared music therapy to a control group of therapy with no music, making all of the studies alike. One thing to be noted is that the researchers often group these 10 studies into two groups of 5. The first 5 studies, as listed above, involve music therapy intervention that lasted from 1 to 2 weeks on a daily basis. During the therapy session, the therapist would listen to live or pre-recorded music with the individuals with autism. Songs were chosen uniquely for the individual and would address a central problem, contain signs and words to be learned, and build a relationship and provide structure for the participants. Central problems were addressed through the use of lyrics, and signs and words were taught through dancing movements and lyrics in songs. The second 5 studies, as listed above, involved music therapy intervention that lasted from 5 weeks to 7 months on a weekly basis. This was a much longer-term study. In the therapy sessions, the therapist would use musical activities such as improvisation, songs, and structured musical games. The therapist drew on the individual's interest and skills to help better involve the child. Some methods included keeping a child's interest and letting the child make their own musical choices. Improvisation would work where the student had one instrument while the teacher had another. For example, the student could play a drum while the teacher played a piano. The student would then lead the improvisation session by beating the drum, either faster or slower, and the teacher would follow. This allows the individual to make their own choices. These are the results of the study. The first study of interest was social interaction, in which the researchers used the social responsiveness scale to record a child's growth. This is essentially a survey on observed behaviors. The survey was completed by teachers and therapists blind to the experiment. The researchers found, after going through all of the completed surveys, that music therapy had a moderate to large effect on the children involved in the study. The second study of interest was nonverbal communicative skills, in which independent observers would count the number of communication gestures in a therapy session. This includes gestures such as hand-waving or facial expressions. The researchers found that music therapy had a moderate effect on the children involved in the study. Another subject of interest was initiating behavior. Therapy sessions were recorded, and researchers would make note of social behaviors such as pointing, giving objects to the therapist, or intentionally touching the therapist. The researchers found that music therapy had a large effect on the individual. The fourth subject of interest was verbal communicative skills. For this, independent observers would count the frequency of appropriate verbal responses. This includes saying hi when greeted or saying thank you when receiving an object. The researchers found that music therapy had a small to moderate effect on the children involved in the study. In conclusion, music therapy is likely to have a positive impact on social interaction and communication skills of children with autism spectrum disorder and is superior to standard care in which no music is involved.
Thank you.